Hi, my name is Ryan Lisk. I am the owner of the RealTime Coaching program, and welcome to a 10-minute taste of real-time coaching. What is real-time coaching? So real-time coaching is a suite of products and workshops that provide a simple, practical approach for people who rely on others to create results. So in other words, the first question I always ask somebody when they're interested in real-time coaching, I say, what percentage of your business results relies on other people? And before I get into the answer to that question, let me give you a quick history lesson. Here's a little something you did not know. This is an example of an early stagecoach. And back in the 1400s, the first stagecoaches were actually made in a town called Koch, Hungary, spelled K-O-C-S. And it was called a cart of coach. Well, a couple hundred years later, the term coach was a slang term that students used at university for their professors, because the professor was someone who helped the students come in from day one and get them from where they were to where they wanted to get, which was graduation. So we use the same kind of philosophy in coaching. For us, real-time coaching, or what I'm now going to call RTC from here on out, is simply the process to help others achieve what they want to achieve. In other words, RTC is not a program for coaches. It's not reserved for coaches and executives. It's actually reserved for anybody who relies on others to generate a majority of their results. And ultimately, what we say, RTC is for those who are people first. Now, one of the things I wanted to show you in this 10-minute taste of real-time coaching are three big mistakes that we see being made. And if you feel like these are some things that you could improve upon, then at the end of this, we offer some small steps you could take to get better in these areas, and we offer some big steps you could take. So without further ado, let's take a look at three mistakes that I'm seeing, and if you're making these as well. These are mistakes that are going to hinder your ultimate results. So first, your natural style isn't getting you what you want. Number two, you're making too many assumptions, not asking enough questions. And number three, you're practicing the golden rule of communication. Well, let's talk a little bit more about number one. Your natural style isn't getting you what you want. And here I've got an image of a scale. I got a balance scale. On the two sides of the scale is, on the one side, we have what I want, and the other side is what I'm getting. Now, is what you're doing getting you what you want? So real-time coaching, the process only occurs when someone's scales are out of balance. In other words, they're not getting what they want. And so if the scales are slightly out of balance, that may be a feeling and it's okay, I'm going to live with it for a while. But when the scales get way out of balance, it's time to take some action. And when you're taking action, what type of style do you have? So in other words, we ask, one of the first concepts we have early on in day one of our workshops, how do you influence others when it comes to problems, challenges, and opportunities? Usually what we find, there's three ways that people influence. Let me tell them to you. First is do to. So the do to bosses, managers, and folks that we see, do to involves giving advice or giving orders, giving directions. And there are times when do to is the right way to influence others. So for instance, if you're an expert and only you can answer the question, then tell them what to do. Or maybe safety is an issue or time is urgent. But do to can produce short-term results, but over time, this style of influence increases fear in others, reduces trust, and discourages initiative. The second style we see is called do for. Now, do for involves taking on the work of others and doing it for them. In other words, the nice person is, let me do that for you. Well, then we also have the more aggressive do for person that just takes it on because I know I can get that done better, faster, more efficiently than you can. So while do for can also produce short-term results, and there are times when you should use do for, over time, this style enables others, reduces trust, and discourages initiatives. So what we find in our workshops, people tend to do to or do for as their default style. What we're going for is more of a do with style. So do with involves working together to achieve a goal. Now, the problem with do with is it can be time consuming at first, and it can also be seen as a soft approach. But over time, do with creates accountability, raises standards, it builds trust, and encourages initiatives. So what we're going for in real-time coaching, do with, is that fine line between giving orders and enabling others. So what we're going to work on right away is, what's your natural style of influence and what can you do to get more do with? Stop doing for others and stop giving so many orders. When you're giving orders, this leads to problem number 2. You're not asking enough questions. You're giving advice, right? And we have a quote here from Bob Smith: "We judge others by their last worst action. We judge ourselves by our best intentions." For instance, here's a story. I know what I want, and I know why the other person's doing what they're doing. And then you can insert your story here. So I know why they're doing that. They hate me, right? So we know what's going on. You don't know what's going on. The other person's doing the best they can think of right now to get themselves what they want, which you don't know what that is. So instead of asking, you're making an assumption. You're making a judgment of some kind. So if you are someone who knows you're not asking enough questions, if you're simply giving all the answers, that's a do too. Someone comes in your office and asks them how to do something and you tell them how to do it, you're just giving them an order. Or worse yet, maybe you go and do it for them. I'll handle that. Now you're doing their work for them. You're working for them. And so what we encourage on the question side is, we have our participants listening to radio station WDIP. So these are 4 big headings of questions, and there are multiple ways that we ask these questions under these big umbrellas. But for this 10-minute taste, our 4 big questions are: what do you want? What are you doing? Is what you're doing getting you what you want? And what is your plan? If we can do a WDIP inventory in our problems, opportunities, and challenges, we know what questions we can ask to fill in the gaps that we're missing. So we spend a lot of time asking more questions. Finally, you're practicing the golden rule. And a lot of people say, hey, the golden rule, I was brought up with the golden rule. Okay, I get what you're saying, but we're talking about the golden rule of communication. You're communicating with others the way you like to be communicated with. And what this looks like is somebody that has a more competitive style. This is the coach on the one side. And we have a player that's more of a consistent style. So the coach is simply coaching the player in that competitive style, trying to get the best out of that player that he can, but he's coaching him the way is natural for him, that wanting to win, that extroverted, that results, that fight, that passionate style. The player responds to stability, harmony, routines. He needs time. He's much more calm, cool, and collected. And when you approach a player in that regard, you're going to get a much better result. So the second half of real-time coaching, we are practicing the platinum rule of communication. We are learning to communicate with others the way they want to be communicated with. But to get to that stage, you have to have self-awareness about your own communication style, your own what we call driving forces, before you can understand and adapt your style to get a better result from others. We spend a lot of time on that. We spend a lot of time on practicing your real scenarios. Our participants bring their own issues to class. We work on them, help get them through, help get them more of what they want, the reason they came to class. So if these sound like some issues that you're working on, there's some small steps that we call from your seat to the street. So after you watch our videos, after you come to class, you're going to go back to work at some point. You're going to go back and do your thing in the real world, which we call going from your seat to the street. So here are some ideas. First, you could order Real-Time Coaching on Amazon. That book's $19.99. It's going to be the baseline, the benchmark, the textbook, if you will, to the real-time coaching philosophy, platform, and questions and model. Secondly, we talked about styles of influence: do to, do for, do with. You can see that in action. I put together a 4-minute YouTube video with Jamie, and we illustrate for you the 3 different styles in action. Finally, the YouTube Golden Rule Breakthrough. That's a 6-minute video that a participant actually had in one of our workshops, understanding that the way he was coming at one of his coworkers wasn't effective, and he learned to change his style. And finally, real easy, just follow Real-Time Coaching on LinkedIn. Now, If you want to take some big steps, you can attend an RTC online workshop. That's public. So you may be in that workshop with people from all over the country. That is 4 2-hour sessions that we do. Secondly, you could host your own private real-time coaching workshop. We can do that online, or we can do it live when we come back to work. We are certainly happy to do that. And you can become a certified real-time coaching super user. As you can see, we have about 20, I think it's 27 super users throughout the country. So we have trainers near you, or internally, you can become an internal super user trainer for real-time coaching and help grow real-time coaching throughout the entire organization and create a coaching culture. All right, so with that, I appreciate you investing the 10 minutes with me for this 10-minute taste of real-time coaching. So to enroll, here's my email, ryan@liskassociates.com. Feel free to drop me a note. I look forward to hearing from you. And remember, people first.